Welcome to our 7th episode of the DMV Autocross Podcast. I'm Danny Ko.
And I'm Atatabesh. Thanks for tuning in to our episode number 6. Since episode 6 is the Return of the Jedi, we will call this episode Return of the New Autocross Season. Danny, why are we talking about Star Wars? You know it's a 70s movie, right?
All right, let my old brain think about this one. I'll give you an answer at the end of this podcast. How about that? And we can call this podcast segment like Ask Danny, like Dear Abby.
How about Ask Uncle Danny? And who's Abby? What?
Shut up. Okay, so that's enough for the old people questions, and let's on with the show.
In case you didn't notice, every announced DMV Autocross event for this year is posted in the DMV Autocross group on Facebook. Just go to the events tab on the top of the Facebook group page, and you'll see every event this year. Thank you, Danny. Thank you for doing that. I know it took you hours. Huge thumbs up.
It's only 35 hours worth of work, but that's okay.
It's a true service to the community. Anyways, what's going on for the next 2 weeks, Danny?
All right. Well, it's definitely my pleasure. So no problem at all. All right. So for this coming week, the PCA Chesapeake Test and Tune is at the Prince George's Stadium. It's also called the Baysox Stadium, or we simply call it Bowie, this Saturday. It starts at a special time, which is noon, 12 p.m. You will get at least 6 runs, and the weather looks decent. Of course, for the complete weather forecast, you have to wait for another minute for our resident biologist, Alan.
Alan's a meteorologist.
Oh, yeah, whatever. You know, the best thing about the Baysox event is you can either enjoy the cookies and cream milkshake from Chick-fil-A or the good French onion soup from Greg Harkey's favorite restaurant, Rips, which is next door to the stadium, and many of us go there after autocross. Race and eat is a good thing.
And the following week, we have both a level 1 and level 2 autocross school hosted by the Washington and DC region SCCA. You will meet Shane, Alan, and Danny at the school instructing. Or you might see Brian yelling at the instructors while eating a sandwich and blaming the FIA for giving Alonso a 20-second penalty. There's a very few spots left for both schools, and registration ends soon, so please do not miss it.
I mean, 20-second penalty for brake test is not enough penalty.
It's not a brake test. We need to talk about that later. Let's ask Uncle Danny.
Okay, well, Uncle Danny will tell you the real thing here.
Let's do that today. Let's do
the. Okay, I have an opinion about that.
Yeah, I know you do.
All right, great. Okay, so as our astrologist predicted in our last episode, this past Saturday was cold and rainy. People like Marcus Pine and Greg Palak switched to AMOD and ran a last run group and killed everybody. So without further ado, here's the detailed weather analysis from resident astrologist Alan Claffey.
He's a meteorologist, and that's astrologist. Yeah. But he's a meteorologist.
All right, whatever.
Hi, guys. It's your friendly meteorologist here, and I am pleased to report that spring has officially sprung. Grass is turning green at stately Claffey Manor. Trees are budding. We'll have leaves in no time. And this is all a beautiful thing because it's time to start playing with cars. It's autocross season. Let's look back to last weekend where it poured on you in Summit Point running with the Mercedes Club. Last week, I wasn't there. I kind of miss it. I don't mind running in the rain. I don't like working in the rain, but who does? It's time to look forward to next weekend, and it is the end of March, which means the weather is still unpredictable. I have right here in my hand the forecast for Saturday. 63 degrees with afternoon showers. That could be a lot worse. On Sunday, morning showers, and again, 63 degrees. Again, it could be a lot worse. It'll be brisk in the morning, but be ready for it. Danny wants me to look forward to the following weekend, April 6th and 7th. That's a long ways away. Everybody in meteorology knows you can't count on those kind of forecasts. So here it is. It says on the 6th, it'll be partly sunny and 60 degrees for if the level 1 school for WDCR. That's not bad. Nothing worse than a school in the rain. You learn a lot, But yeah, anyway, for the level 2 school on Sunday, it's going to be about the same. It's going to be sunny and 59. That's really good because that means you won't melt when you're working the course, and you won't be freezing in the morning when we're trying to get everything together and put a course together and tech the cars and say hi and meet and all that good stuff. So on the whole, I say we've got a couple of good weekends coming up if you can deal with a little bit of rain on Saturday afternoon and Sunday morning. Again, just possibility of showers. It won't be terrible. The following weekend for the schools, and I'm not sure if anyone else is running at Summit that particular weekend, but it doesn't look like there's any rain as of right now, which is 10 days out. I'm sure that's completely reliable forecasting here. And decent temperatures. I think we're going to have a good time. Here's my tip, though. It's going to be allergy season. That means you got to stock up on the Flonase, the Benadryl, the nasal spray. Don't take the Benadryl while you're driving. Wait till you get home. It'll help you sleep, too. So that's my top tip of the day. Allergies, no fun. You can deal with it, though. So, having said that, I think it's time to think about getting a car ready and maybe some of those other spring projects. So, back to you guys in the studio.
Thank you, Alan. Danny attended Saturday's Mercedes Autocross on the Washington circuit at Summit Point. Here he is with the event highlights.
Oh, yes. I, along with 60 brave souls, attended the rainy Mercedes Autocross last Saturday. And a big shout out to the Mercedes group for putting up a flawless event. Everything went perfect. No timing issues, no delay. Everything was awesome. I did record a couple of short reportings. Here they are.
Welcome to the rainy Summit Point Raceway at the Washington Circuit. And we're at the first Mercedes-Benz Autocross event. And it was rainy in the morning, and the rain probably stopped around 11 o'clock or so. So first heat drove in completely wet, and then we have there's a lake forming right before the entry of the skip pad, which is extremely interesting. So after basically the first 5 runs, right now your leader is a Dean Mohi at 43 something, which is ridiculous. And Marcus Pine is in the second place, about a second behind, but Marcus still has a chance to run. And David Horton is in third place. So that is what is going on at this time. And then I'll come back at the end of the run and basically report the final results.
And here's a summary of the event at the end. And I got to interview our FTD winner, Marcus Pine.
All right, that's the wrap for the Mercedes #1 event. And our fastest driver is Marcus Pine, co-driving with Greg Pollock's awesome STI. And Greg finished second. Dean Mohi, our friend, that was featured in our podcast a couple episodes ago, finished third, running in the second heat, which is a incredible feat. Fourth place is Colin Soderberg, and fifth place finishing is Brendan Kiker, in his SSC FRS. So congratulations to all these guys. And with that said, let's have a quick interview of the winner, Marcus Pine. So Marcus, how does it feel to be the winner today? How was the course and how did you do?
Great to win today. First event of the year for me. Late yesterday, I asked Greg if I could co-drive because we have wet conditions out here today, and he has an STI, and he said I could. So we just had the right car for the conditions today. And it was a fun battle between me and him, going back and forth all day, and came down to last runs and finally getting clean ones in. Took the win.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Marcus. So, we're going to see Marcus winning all these events all the time. So stay tuned for the following races. And then this is the wrap for the first Mercedes event. Thank you.
Last Sunday was the first BMW Club Test and Tune. Danny got to interview our local autocross legend in the making, Cody Hunt. Tell us what you found out, Danny.
Oh, yeah. I actually caught Cody leaving on a business trip, and he's a busy bee. I found out lots of good stuff at the BMW Test and Tune. About 30 people attended the Test and Tune, and it's very well run. Cody loved the format, and they work a 45-minute session in the morning and one more in the afternoon. For the rest of the time, they run as much as they want. Both Cody and his co-driver, Rusty, put 30 runs plus each and had a lot of runs and a lot of fun. Our autocross friend this week was also in attendance, tested his STX car. Also, the fastest senior citizen autocrosser of the DMV area was also in there showing off his beautiful GT4 after he got back from some mishaps. But regrettably, I have to report both Cody and Rusty better Patrick Gaffney by several seconds in the PAX competition. And we all think Patrick should just give Cody to do the car better justice. And this concludes our weekend race report.
All right. For our Feature of the Week segment, we'd like to cover an interesting, informative, or a fun topic which could benefit all autocrossers. We are honored to be joined by Mr. Bill Conley, the autocross co-chair for the Potomac region of the Porsche Club of America, to tell us about PCA Potomac Autocross Program. Welcome, Bill.
Yep. Awesome. Thanks, Adam. Thanks, Danny.
Hello, Bill. Hey, how's it going?
Life is fantastic.
All right. That's awesome. That's awesome. So Bill, well, thank you for joining us. And we're definitely honored to have you. But I'm going to go immediately off script, right? This is not even written. So, so I was told by one of the listeners that I kissed up to the Mercedes Club too much by wearing a Lewis Hamilton hat. So now you can see that I'm all completely decked out with my Porsche stuff, right? That's because I really want a free Porsche from you, Bill. I mean, how's that work?
So keep buying tickets in the raffle, and with a little bit of luck, you'll be as lucky as Trey that actually just won one of the cars.
I am
year.
so jealous of Trey. Yeah. I cannot believe it.
and what I heard his wife said immediately was exactly what he needs: another Porsche.
Yeah. So yeah. For people who didn't know, I mean, Trey Harper, who autocrosses with us all the time, he sold his nice GTS and bought a 993, right?
So I had heard that he had just traded cars. I have not heard exactly what he just bought.
Right. All I know is he sold the car, went back, got his PhD, and then he defended his PhD. Then boom, here comes a brand new Porsche from PCA Club raffle. Yep. That is just awesome. Like the greatest thing ever.
Best thing ever.
Oh boy.
Can we also, Danny, since we're off script, can we just stay off script for a minute, and can we talk about Bill and where he's sitting at for our Spotify listeners who can't actually see? Like YouTube will be able to see how awesome it is, but can you describe what's going on that screen?
Yep. So I am just sitting here in the garage, and so when my wife and I about 4 or 5 years ago went house shopping, we ended up buying a house from a retired Navy captain that built his dream home and was the president for the local MG club. And so MGs, the joke is you check the gas and you fill the oil. And so we went through as they, sold the house. And so I am sitting in basically a absolutely beautiful garage. We went through and, redid the floors and whatnot, to get rid of the oil stains. But yeah, so I'm sitting here with, my wife's Porsche's over there. My Porsche's over my shoulder. And then, all the tools and everything else that you need to be able to work on the cars and have a little bit of fun with it. So yeah, so
I see an awesome poster. It's so cool. I see this poster behind you. Everything will kill you. So choose something fun. And there's a Porsche on 2 wheels. Yep. And then you got the autocross cones there on the table, the racing steering wheel, and a bunch of sweet cars on that table too. That's awesome. I love it. I had to bring it up. It's just
to set the stage and just kind of the visuals, and there probably will be a couple props that get picked up as we go through, and I'll talk about this as well.
Can't wait. I'm sorry, Danny. All right, back to the script.
That would be awesome. Okay, so I guess I'll get back on script.
Oh man!
All right, so Bill, to me, you're the hardest working autocross leader in all of the DMV autocross clubs. So first of all, could you introduce yourself to our viewers and listeners, as well as a little bit about your program?
Yeah. So Danny, it's an honor, and yet I'm a little bit scared if you think I'm the hardest working. So
you are, trust me. Trust me, I've seen all the other rest of the leaders. They don't do anything.
Yep.
Danny, stop it.
So my the little bit of my background that probably is pertinent. I bought my little Porsche Boxster, which is sitting here next to me back in 2010. I was living in Indiana at the time. Which was incredible, open country roads, the ability to go out and drive and have fun. And then I moved to DC, where you drive the speed of the car in front of you, be it 9 or 90 miles an hour. And so back in, I guess it was 2019, there we go. Did my first autocross event after bumping into some folks who are active with PCA. And the rest is a little bit history. But Danny, the reason that I look like the hardest working is actually the reality of the committee that I have behind me. and my co-chair, and the fact that all of us show up, we all pitch in, and really want to make sure that we run a good, efficient, and fun event, right? And so if we're doing that, we're having a blast. We're all having fun doing it. But I just want to hit the names of everybody on the committee really quick. So my co-chair is Jeff Gary, John Bendikovic, Greg Harkey, Howard Lykin, Fong Nguyen, Johan Nye, Bill Schwinn, Bob Simmons, my wife, Allie Conley, Paul Brockman, Dwayne Norman, Vince Flasho, and Mike Trusty is going to join us this coming season. And the reality is it takes a group of us, and then you throw in all the coaches, and you're another like 20-something people that come out and not only drive and have fun, but also pitch in and make sure that the event goes really, really well for every one of them.
No, that's awesome, because the event's always very well run, and then really thanks to you guys to put in all this time and effort. We really enjoy it.
Yeah.
But before we go on, I do want to disclaimer. Danny, what he meant to say was that everyone that runs every program is very hardworking. So now that's that was official. That's the official stance.
Yeah, no, as I can attest to, this is my going into my 4th year in the chair role, and inevitably there is something about timing equipment or the lunch order or the breakfast or the something goes bump, and then you're figuring out what it takes to make it happen. And so ideally, it looks like an event runs smooth and nobody is aware of any of that stuff behind the scenes. But yeah, for everyone out there that does the organizing and the committee roles, a huge round of thanks for everybody that works hard.
Yeah, I mean, of course, there's a reason I really said that is because whenever Bill's in the, at work, he's always chase us slackers down, like we're late for work or whatever. He'd come over and just say, "Hey, everybody get to work."
Yep.
Good. So good.
Put us in our place.
How many of us at work, right? There's one person not yet in the meeting and everyone's waiting. And how many times at an autocross event, you're waiting on one person to finish doing something.
Yeah.
And so I try to make sure that we run a good, smooth event and everybody's where they need to be.
No, that's awesome. Definitely appreciate it for sure. Yeah.
Thank you, Bill. In case Danny didn't mention this enough, I'm actually in the autocross game for fun. Like, I enjoy the fun aspect of it. And even though I'm a Long John Silver's kind of guy, I'm totally intrigued by your feeding breakfast and lunch to autocrossers program. What can I look forward to when I attend the PCA Potomac events?
Yeah, no. So Adam, that's a great question, right? And I think every club does a couple things a little bit differently in terms of what are those aspects that you really want to focus on or whatever. And so for PCA Potomac and PCA kind of in general, right? You come for the cars, you stay for the people. And what is one of those great ways to get everyone just hanging out and having fun? You break bread together. And so what does that mean? That means that, we're going to bring in food at breakfast time and, you're going to have bagels and cream cheese and some danishes and a whole bunch of coffee. Because let's be honest, coffee makes me go faster, either because it means I'm caffeinated or because I really want to go to the bathroom. So it means I got to get those runs done. And if that takes 3 seconds off my time, that's totally worth it. But no, so we start with breakfast. You go through tech, you go through registration. We make sure the insurance stuff is obviously, all taken care of, kind of the formal side. But with a little bit of time there, just to stand around and talk about what the weather is going to be, what the course is, as you were looking at the course map before you came out, kind of what you thought might happen or where it was going to be sticky or interesting or whatever, but also just a great chance to catch up with friends. Our goal is that everybody shows up, kind of in that 8 to 9 o'clock window. 9 to 10 is kind of the get everything set up. First car ideally starts driving at 10, and then we do a 3-heat structure, 10 to noon, noon to 2, 2 to 4. And then the goal is from, about 4 to 5, we're getting everything packed up and put away and everybody on their way and headed home. And so what that also then means is we end up doing a rolling lunch where you're driving in one heat, you're working in one heat because we're all volunteer, and then you have one where you're resting. And so in your rest heat is the one where you get a chance to stop and eat. But because obviously what we really want to do is maximize the amount of time that people are driving. We end up bringing lunches in, bag lunches, and that way it allows you just to keep on driving, because I don't even know where the closest Long John Silver's is to Summit Point. But man, if we all got our cars and drove there, we'd got to drive for an hour.
If I do, and Danny can attest to this, if I do well, I stop and I treat myself to some Long John Silver's on the way home. It's right where what's the name of that one highway? I don't know the roads around.
That's 340.
340, right when it hits that other road, there's a Long John Silver's
Okay.
and A&W in the same building. So that's, I mean,
Now we know.
Ada could be in last place. He'd still be going to Long John Silver's.
No, but that sounds fantastic, though. I'm getting hungry just like talking to you about like lunch and breakfast. Like, I need coffee to function in the mornings, right? Like, so I'm right with you.
All right, so Bill, so here comes my hard charging questions, and it's extremely controversial.
Okay.
Right? Could you tell us a little bit about the classing with PCA?
Yep.
Right? And then what does SPIM stand for? Right?
Yep.
And at first, when I first saw it, I thought it was like the Senate and People of Rome or something like that. But I'm completely off the tangent. And the other thing is when we interviewed John Rankovich, he was complaining that he's not getting a trophy in the guest class, right? Could you grant me permission to tell him to shove it?
Yeah.
Or what else did I say to him?
Yep. So if you want to have fun with John, just tell him that he can have a trophy when he reliably beats you, and he's getting past his time of the day. And if he can do that for more than half the events, then we'll talk about trophies for guest class. So as we talk about the trophies at the end of every season, unfortunately these are clear, so they don't show up very well. But we end up doing little trophies. And so back in 2020, I ended up with 3rd place in the so-called S4 class. And the reason that we end up doing the trophies, right, is the competitiveness of the driving is fun. The trophies, right, is the competitiveness of the league. If you show up in a Porsche, that could be anything going back to a 356. We actually had one 356 that came out for one autocross maybe 2-3 years ago, which was absolutely awesome to see. Drum brakes autocross, that's cool. Like that's a thing. Cool. You can do it. Yeah. That's really really cool. If you have a Cayenne, if you have a Macan, if you're lucky enough you have a Carrera, right? Like, come on out. We are not going to put a 356 and a Carrera next to each other and expect them to be competitive in the same way.
Sure.
And so with that in mind, what are we doing with the car classes? As a stock one is going to be either the older cars, the lower horsepower cars, the bigger, heavier cars, and therefore generally a little bit slower. At S5, you are at the brand new, GT3s, GT4s, and, kind of the high horsepower, made within the last couple of years. And so S is stock, kind of makes sense. P is production modification. And then from there, you also end up with approved and modified. Because let's be honest, if someone shows up and they are driving on, let me get that facing the right direction, an Archon tire, basically a slick, right? Like, that is not a fair tire to expect someone to compete against if they're driving on street tires. And so with that in mind...
for the Spotify listeners, Bill, you're holding up an actual race tire.
Yeah, that's a race tire.
Yeah. He was holding up a real race tire.
Yep, sorry. For those that are listening only, I just hoisted up one of my rear Hankook Z214s that I will have fun burning through as we go through this year. Right, but the goal is to make sure it's fair and it's competitive for everybody. If you put race seats in and harnesses, you're not going to be in the stock class because you have an unfair advantage. Now I'm holding up my brand new aftermarket steering wheel. If you put in an aftermarket steering wheel that changes your steering ratio so you can get around the turn faster, right? Again, we want to make sure that everyone is in an environment that is safe, obviously, but fun, but also competitive. And so going all the way back to John Brankovich's in the guest class. For all of our events, we end up probably about 1/3 of our cars are non-Porsches, which is totally awesome, totally fun. But right, if you have somebody that shows up in a Miata, or you have somebody that shows up in, a Mustang or whatever, right? Like, let's go out, let's have fun, let's all drive, which is what it's all about. But at that point, there's no way to do car classes,
sure.
As PCA and make that work. So to John's point, he could just bring out his race car. And that would be totally fine. And then he could compete for trophies and have all sorts of fun. So that'd be my answer, maybe, instead of telling him to shove it, because John is a good kid.
I think John will have a better chance if he wait until Porsche buys BMW or something like that. That's probably
Danny. Oh my.
No.
Have you guys ever seen Bill? Have you ever seen a car show up to the club trying to get classed with just a BMW? I'm not sorry, a Porsche sticker on the car. It's not actually a Porsche car. Can you verify those things?
So we have not seen one that egregious.
Okay.
But as fair, every now and again you have someone that comes up and says, "Hey, so and so is running in the stock class, but we think we have a." And then you get to go climb around, inside or underneath or whatever through somebody's car to attempt to figure out, is the suspension modified or is it stock? Is that the reason why they're a couple seconds faster than everybody else or not? And so we end up adjudicating those. But no, if you just go buy a little, my other car is a Porsche sticker and you cut off where it says Porsche and you slap it on, we are actually going through tech with that one.
Okay, you might. Okay, so my plans are thwarted. What about Danny, where he just made up a model of Porsche that doesn't exist? Is that like it's not a thing?
Like my
It's not a real
GTS
car.
RS?
But let's be honest. Danny is in a class all of his own, and there's really no hope there.
No, he literally made up a model that does not exist, put it on a license plate, and races it like it's a real car.
Yep,
it's not a real thing.
So Bill, I'm rocking this year. I just got it.
I like the new plate, and I will sit there and chuckle every time as I see you launch, and then I will also chuckle at the number of people that go, man, where do I get one of those? And then we'll figure out some sort of financial kickback scheme where if I send them to the dealer that sold you yours, then I'll end up with some sort of cut off of it all. How's that?
Wait a minute, I'm supposed to be kissing up to you, and you're supposed to give me the car. What's going on?
I'm just looking for ways to afford more tires.
There you go.
You should see the look though on the people's faces, like specifically at Nationals when they would take one look at the car and they saw the rear where he put the RS after the GTS, and they would like double take, and that's what the
That's right.
It was great.
But if Danny's not pulling somebody's leg, we're not doing it right. Just saying.
That's
exactly exactly. So I heard that the course designer likes to make the courses easy and then progressively makes them harder until it becomes some kind of an IQ test during the final event. So during the course of the season, could you tell us what types of courses we can expect when we go to a PCA Potomac event, and a little bit about that? Like, what's going on with that?
Yep. So the course design is one of the really, really fun parts of getting to be involved kind of in the leadership role. We're always iterating on the courses, and we're looking for ways to make things fun, right? I think when you look across, kind of broadly the DMV area, there's only a handful of places that we all go and we all autocross at. And so with that in mind, how do you go to Potomac Pad at Summit Point again and do something truly unique? How do you go to Washington Circuit where you're kind of constrained by the different traffics, the different circles that they have, and figure out a way to go, hey, let's do something that no one has ever seen. Let's do something that, forces it not to be like, oh yeah, I remember driving this, 6 years ago. Yeah, I remember how to navigate this, right? The concrete's a little worse over there now, so I'm going to navigate it this way. At the same time, all of us somewhere along the way did our first ever autocross, and I still remember mine. Gary Baker was my instructor. He rode with me the first 2 or 3 times, and he says, "Hey, you're ready. Just go drive it by yourself. Show me what you got." And I was like, okay. And I got it off the start line, and I made it about 3 cones in. And then I just looked and I panicked and I had no idea where the course went because I didn't have Gary in that case, as my first ever instructor said, hey, go left now, right? And so I ended up horribly off course and driving around, and I feel bad for whoever was working the course / working start, because God knows how many cones I hit that day and how badly I messed up, kind of the overall timing of the event, right? But all of us were that person somewhere along the way. And so with that in mind, the first event of the year that we always do is we go out and we do the autocross school. We break everything up into kind of the foundational elements, and then we stitch it together as a course. And the objective is someone that's never had a chance to drive their car at the limit, that they're not getting lost through some sea of cones and going, I don't know what I just did, but I'm never going to do that again, right? If that's the reaction, that is not what we want to have happen. And at the same time, by the time that we're in, September, October, event number 6, event number 7, and people have been coming out and having fun and driving hard all year, we want to do something that really demonstrates, hey, I understand that course, and it was optional to go this way or that way, and I picked the right one so I could be, slower on the entry but faster on the exit. And the only way to do that is you start thinking through what are some just really weird kind of transitions and funky ways of doing things, right? But Danny, how long have you been autocrossing for?
18 years.
18 years, right? And so I want to make sure that we are bringing forward a course that for someone in your shoes with 18 years of experience, you walk away at the end of the day going, that was kind of fun. That was new. That was interesting.
Yeah.
Right. And so the first event of the year, you're going to probably walk away going, that was a nice course. It was a nice day. I'm getting the car figured out again for the season. Like, that was fun. But by the time we're in September, October, I want all of us that have been doing this for, years to be sweating a little bit as we're looking at the course, trying to remember it and keep everything straight. At the same time, someone that's never done an autocross before can still come out with a coach in their passenger seat and get that instruction that they need to make sure that they have fun and stay on course too. And so the course design is trying to make sure we get the perfect blend of both of those aspects. But as you can tell from my enthusiasm, it's one of the really fun parts about getting to do the leadership role.
Bill, I love your mindset when the approach to even include people like senior citizens like Danny in that thought process. I absolutely love it.
Yep.
So, young people like yourself and myself, people full of vitality and life as well. Like you're covering the whole spectrum. So thank you, Bill.
Yep.
I really appreciate it, Bill. But I would say this though, from a competitor's perspective, beginning of the season, I see new people joining right after the autocross school, and then you can tell who they are. And then they come back event after event and after event after event. At the end of the year, they're like experts. So you don't actually see that often in other clubs, to be really frank. Usually people come in first time around, they look at it and say, "Oh, this is cool. It's not my gig," and they go away. But I can definitely see there's definitely a lot of repeat folks that comes back event after event after event, and then they just kept going. And that definitely has a lot to do with the way that how PCA runs their events, and then it's fun and it's inviting, right? So that's fantastic.
It's actually interesting on the coaching side. So my first ever student was Trey Harper, and so I've been driving for a couple of years, and this was kind of the middle of COVID, and it's like, hey, are you willing to be in a passenger seat given there's this whole virus and everything out there? Yeah. I was like, I'm young enough, I'm fit enough, I'm healthy enough, let's do it. My first ever student, Trey Harper. Fast forward 2 years, guess who's faster than I am? Trey.
Yeah,
right. And so there's a level there where it's like, I'm apparently a better instructor than I am a driver because man, he got fast quick. Right. But then that creates, an even deeper, level of camaraderie. Like Krusty, whose name I mentioned earlier again, right. I was his first ever instructor. Right. And then you get somebody hooked and they're having fun. And that's what makes the sport great for everybody.
That's awesome.
Yep, definitely. That's 100% true. And, with that said, thank you so much for joining us, us today, Bill. PCA Potomac's event kicks off this year with the Autocross School on April 27th, followed by event number 1 and on the 28th at Summit Point. So it's back to back. Registration already available at motorsportsrevenge.com now. And I already registered for every event. So Bill and I will be there. I literally did that. As soon as it was open on the 18th, I registered every event. And then again, like Bill and I definitely be there. And thank you so much again, Bill, for joining us.
Awesome. Thanks, Danny. Thanks, Ada, for having me. And the only other thing that I will mention really quick on the registration side. So we opened registration for everybody that's a PCA member. And we try to get as many Porsches in just for kind of the overall competitiveness. All of our non-PCA member registrations open 1 month before the event. And so if you're looking out at something in July, back up basically one calendar month. And that's when registration opens. And obviously, the more cross-club pollinization that we get, it means that we bring the best of everything, kind of along. And I think that works out great. So thanks, guys.
You're going to see me out there as well, Bill. I unfortunately don't have a Porsche yet, but I will be seeing you in approximately a month and a half, right?
Awesome.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Bill. Oh, before we signed off, right?
Yep.
I want Bill to guess how long I've been a PCA member.
Oh, no. Don't do that to Bill.
So you've been autocrossing for 18 years.
Yes, but I started with a Miata.
But knowing your personality, just because you started with a Miata does not mean that 10 years before that you didn't buy a Porsche. And after getting a bunch of tickets, you decided you should find a better way to drive. So I'm wagering on 26 years.
Oh my goodness.
26 years? Close. 24 years.
I should have pulled out the iPad and looked up your membership history.
No, 24 years. But the first time I saw a Porsche, I was 10 years old. And then ever since then, that was it. I made my lifetime dream of getting one. So I got my first one in 99.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So anyway, well, thank you so much again, Bill. I just love everything that you guys are doing.
Yep.
99. Bill and I were still in elementary school, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't think you were born, Ada.
I'm young, but I'm not that young. I think in 99 I was tooling around in a 1985 Toyota Camry. That was pretty awesome.
I was in an 88 Maxima.
Well, my kids are in junior high school, so.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
All right. Okay, great. Thanks so much, Bill.
Yep.
Thanks, Bill.
Okay,
Bye,
take
guys.
care. For our meet
the new Autocross Friends segment, I get to interview cool autocross friends in the DMV area. Today, we're on location 150 miles south of DC at the Virginia Motorsports Park for the NASA Autocross. And we have one of the fastest autocrossers in the DMV area. Everybody says hello to Mr. Lenny Woolcock.
How's it going, Danny?
Hey, good. Thank you for being our guest today. What prompted you to drive through the snowstorm and run in 30-degree weather? Is that a normal person would do?
Well, I don't think it's normal, but there's 59 other people that did it. So
I think there's like 65 people.
Oh,
so
yeah?
there's 5 more additional normal people.
I'll see, there you go.
Yeah.
Either there's 64 other crazy people, which we normalized it. So maybe none of us are crazy.
That's right. I mean, it's almost 50 degrees, so it's turned out to be a beautiful day, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. So could you tell us a little bit more about, how you started autocrossing? So all I know is one day a few years ago, you showed up and kicked butt, and it's been kicking butt ever since. What group did you run with?
So my first autocross was like in 2003. And actually, my second autocross was not for another 10 years.
Oh,
so,
wow.
yeah.
You started before me.
Oh, yeah?
That's awesome.
Interesting. But no, I had in college, I had a Honda Accord, I remember. And I was actually running STS. My first event was actually an STS. I did my first event, and I thought it was cool, but there was a lot of other things going on at the time.
Right.
Didn't get a chance to do it again for another 10-ish years when I moved up to the DC area. But yeah, I mean, got started autocrossing with CDC at the time. And I love the feel, the number of runs that you get, an opportunity to just use your car for, what it was, probably not what it was made for, but just an opportunity to use it in a way that was fun.
Right.
Yeah.
So anything after CDC, did you start running in SCCA? And
Yeah, so it took me a while to get from CDC, those tiny lots, to SCCA, right? So I remember the first time I went out with SCCA, the lot was so massive. I remember it was at FedEx. Just the change in the size of the lot. I also ran with BMW, Porsche Club. I mean, pretty much all the clubs in the area now I run with. I don't really pick it. It's really down to the schedule for the most part, which one I go to. But we're so lucky in our area to have so many clubs that all do autocross pretty good. So, I mean, can't say there's no wrong place to go.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. So again, like what you said, nowadays we have a ton of autocross events in the area, and many events are overlapping each other. Do you have a formula that you select which event to go?
Yeah, I mean, life is my formula, right? So for me, for the most part, Sundays are going to be my ideal day. With my oldest, I have 2 kids, and she's going to be playing soccer in the spring, and I'm the coach. So my Saturdays are gone. Yeah. So for the most part, any club that has a Sunday autocross, I'll probably be there.
Nice. Well, my family does come first, that's for sure.
Yeah.
No, that's great. Okay, so we're not going to let you off the hook without asking you some tough questions, right? So what is your secret for the fast speed that you have? And let's hear some real speed secrets. Like my secret is running a class that nobody runs like today, so that nobody knows how slow I am. So what is yours?
Well, I saw you had Brian on Garfield on not too long ago, and honestly, it's just keep doing it, right? Yeah. And schools, right? So I've taken quite a few schools over the years, and yeah, what you learn from there. Even now, like last year, I took a level 2 school again, and I always pick something up when you go there, right? So right now, I think my biggest thing is braking and consistency in braking. Hell, I want to do another school this year, just try to work on that. But honestly, just continue doing it, right?
Okay, so how much did Brian pay you to say all that?
Well, it's undisclosed.
Oh, undisclosed. That's awesome. I know that we're getting ready to run, so thank you, Lenny, for being an autocross friend and brave the cold weather and drive through snow to get here. I'm sure you continue running at the front all season, and thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, Danny. Thanks, everybody. Hope to see everybody out there.
Thank you to our new autocross friend, Lenny. This concludes this podcast episode. Everybody's excused except for the novices. Our novice meeting begins now. And this week's novice meeting is working at an autocross.
All right. Thank you, Danny. Yeah, let's talk about working at an autocross. let's start listing out some of the jobs, and we can kind of define each job as we go. Most organizations are going to have these jobs, these similar jobs, so most of them are going to call them the same thing. So these are pretty universal across all the orgs in our area, at least, that we can talk to. And the first job, let's start from when you get in, right? Gate. So those are going to be the first people that you're going to see. They're going to either there's a waiver either to sign, or you've electronically signed it, depending on what org it is. And they're going to usually give you a little wristband or something along the lines so that you're legal and you can come on in.
So at Summit Point, there's a gate to begin with. Literally the gate.
There's
right?
a gate. Yeah.
Yeah. So you sign in at the gate, right? And then after that, there's another waiver that you have to sign when you get in there. But that's not that job. That gate position is really the Summit Point's job, not your job, right? But if you go to other organizations like the WDCR running at Waldorf, for example, there will be a gate person there.
Yep. Exactly. Yep. And that's pretty straightforward. You roll up, and usually everyone's smiling ear to ear. It's early in the morning. You're having a good time. So if you do get that job, usually it means you've been there a few times. They're not going to put a novice at gate. Gate person will kind of show up a little early, etc. So as a novice, as a true novice, you won't have to worry about that position, but it's good to know that it's there, right?
Next job, it's usually tech. All right. So let's talk about real quickly what tech person does, right? So when you go through tech inspection, like what we talk about, how you prepare them. Now you picture your position get flipped around. Now you're the person that's executing the tech, not the guy that's being teched.
Yeah.
Right. So since we already covered an episode what you have to do in tech, just picture that now you reverse yourself, and now this is what you have to do to tell other people how to tech. Right. So you check their wheel bearing, you check their battery, and you make sure that some organization will mandatorily blip the throttle, like what Ada say last time during tech, that some organization will get you to get a torque wrench and make sure you torque some of the lug nuts, just make sure the wheel's not loose, right? Yep. So that's a job in tech. So now tech job, you usually start early, then you have to work until the tech ends. So usually there's a very, very small window you get to walk the course, right? So if you take a tech job, just remember, you got to show up early and you got to work throughout, like during registrations in tech, and then you have a very small window to walk. But after that, you're free all day.
Yep.
So not a bad gig, especially when it's a hot day. And then, in the morning's a little cool. Good time to do morning tech.
What about some of our listeners who might not be that mechanically inclined? Like, do you need to have a mechanical engineering degree to be tech? Like, how's that?
You and I did tech before. So, so the answer is no.
So no, you don't even need to learn how to turn a wrench.
Yeah. If you don't know how to turn a wrench, don't take the job that you have to, torque the wheels.
Right.
Just peek in and say, "Can you let me see your helmet?"
You just have to have observation skills, I feel like, to be
That's
a good
right.
tech.
That's right.
You don't have to know how to do engine swaps, right?
One thing that it does come in handy is if you have no idea where your trunk or hood latch is, so to open up your trunk and hood, probably don't want that tech job.
Are we allowed to list out some of our favorite tech people, or is that that's not? Are we gonna?
Like which one? Like Vassallo?
I was gonna list out Sean Glazer. One time he teched my car and he was like, "I have a few tips for you," and he helped me go faster.
Yeah,
he gave me a couple tips. He was like, "This fuel pressure regulator here, this vacuum line here," and it worked.
Well, I'll give you some other example. Which sometimes you want to avoid is if someone's been taking up your wheels and kind of shake with it without gloves or even with gloves, right? Mm-hmm. And then their fingers will be like doing, like fingerprinting. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So that person probably shouldn't be open and closing somebody else's trunks or
the hood and the trunk,
especially have a nice car. Right. I remember like the first time I drove my expensive car, right?
Yeah.
To autocross. And then when I come off, there's like fingerprints on top of it.
Yeah.
It would drive Brian Carwin crazy, by the way.
Oh, he would lose it. He would probably never come back to an autocross.
All right. So anyway, there are different cars like like not all the cars are in the center with a latch, right?
Yeah,
Some are
that's
on the side and some are on
Offset.
the
Yeah.
hood vents and stuff like that. So if you don't know how to do that, tech is not your gig. Try something else.
But they're also not going to put a novice usually at tech. So
That's
I
true.
think
Yeah.
most of our novice friends that are listening right now, they should be okay.
That's right. But if you ever end up doing tech, bring a pair of gloves.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. All right. So next job, let's think about what's next. How about grid?
Great. Yeah, that's the next
Okay.
one.
So you can be a grid worker, right?
Mhm.
So grid worker does. So basically, a grid worker are the best way to describe grid is you're either a parking lot attendant, right, or you're a traffic cop.
Exactly. That's
Right.
what it is. You're a parking
That's
lot
it.
attendant or you're a traffic cop.
Right. So there's going to be usually the grid, either one person, two people, or three people. If there's only one in the small grid, you have to be both. You have to be a traffic cop and you have to be a parking lot attendant, right? Because typically when you have to direct people to go to the spot that they need to go to.
Mhm.
So that's when you're the parking lot attendant. And then you're also the one that tells them to go and how to come back correctly. So that makes you a traffic cop. So a lot of people, I would say for most organizations, they know what's going on. The grid is usually assigned to somebody with a little bit of a mobility issue,
Yeah.
right? Because you just kind of stand there and point, right?
You don't have to be running after cones.
Right. But it's an important job because you're just like a traffic cop. If you just kind of point everybody all the way around and all of a sudden you got train congestions, right?
I'll never forget one time I was at Ripken, Danny, and I was grid, single, me, by myself. And I just remembered this when you said mobility because it was one of my, I'd been grid before, but it was my only time as grid by myself. And it wasn't DC Region SCC, it was another org. And I remember running from the back to help the cars line up to the front to send the car. I was sprinting back and forth like I was sweating. It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
So when you said mobility, I'm like, yeah, he's right 99% of the time. But tell me why that one time I almost wore my shoes out running back and forth.
Well, so this is worth mentioning. A lot of organizations most of their organizations runs grid a little bit differently, right?
Yeah.
Some of the places like in especially over in running on Washington circuit or even Potomac circuit, they do 2-3 lines and then usually it's a small heat, right? So they have maybe 7-8 cars and then you just stack them. One car go, the next car go, the next car go, and then when they finish that, you go to the next row.
Yeah.
So, but some other organizations will do what DC used to do. They have 50, 60 cars per heat, and then they go back to back to back, and they lined up 30 rows. So that's why what Adam was talking about. You have to go up and down, right? Because you had to go through 30 rows of cars, where the other organizations, you just have 3 rows of cars and they come up to you instead of you go to them, right? So there are definitely some nuances and differences when you do grid. But then again, grid, they're not going to find somebody brand new to do grid most of the time. Yeah. But you might get to shadow somebody who's really experienced with grid, right? So that's actually a cool job to kind of learn what's going on. And then, it's part of event planning, and again, all of these work, it doesn't hurt to try once or twice. If you're deeply involved in this, this hobby, eventually you're going to either take on a position of something that might organize it, or even as a fast driver, if you know all these jobs and all that stuff, it's easy for you to plan on where you're going to be because you would know what jobs requires what. So it will save you a whole bunch of time and effort if you know exactly what to do with that situation while you're there, right? So some to consider. Every job is a good job, literally.
It is. I double that.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about starter.
Are you going to talk about Pat Gaffney starter or Brian Carwin starter? How do you want to do this?
I don't know. I mean, you can talk about a starter that you can harass.
Yes.
That's both of them. No,
but one of them's Pat gives you those good vibes. And when I come back and I don't do a good run, he looks at me and he's like, you need to do a better run this time. He gives me that. Brian, though, he gives me the hype. Brian hypes me up before they do runs. So.
Really? They actually say stuff to you?
Oh, yeah. He's like, hey, he gets excited.
Oh, they didn't say you suck and get out of here?
No, never. Autocrossers would never say such things to each other.
I mean, all the autocross I know does that.
I know, I was kidding.
Oh, no. So starter is usually the most experienced person on course.
Yeah.
That's one thing I learned. So for a novice, if they give you a starter job, man, good luck.
They
Right?
won't. There's
Yeah.
no way.
So starter, the I think the interesting about starter is the starter needs to look at you at the start and know how fast you are.
They do.
They
Pat
do,
knows.
right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They know.
So somebody who's like really, really experienced and they have seen you run once or twice, or even between the first run and second run, right?
Mhm.
They can see you take off and then observe you for the next 20 seconds or so before they send the next car. And that will formulate, the starter's opinion on you. Probably for the rest of the event. I mean, they will do 2 or 3 samples, and then after that, run 3, 4, 5. They know how to send and gap people, right?
Yep.
And then so if I see somebody else and go, well, this person goes off course, and then I would tend, or hit a bunch of cones or something, I would definitely give the course worker a break. So you have to pay all the attention. You need to know how to gap them. You need to look at the course. You need to make sure that if the cones are hit, people come in running. Your eyes needs to be constantly scanning. Right. And you got to make sure people come in online and you put them in the right spot and send them and so on. So starter is is probably the most experienced person in there, other than maybe somebody's like in charge of timing. Right.
Yes. Yeah. Which is a little different. Like, yeah.
Right. It's a different kind of work. But starter, I would say, this is why you see Patrick Gaffney or Brian Carwin and those guys doing starting, because
Or Danny.
Or
Danny.
I like no job. No, I'm just kidding. No, I do a lot of starting and a lot of events. Yeah, because the more people you know, the more people that you know how they're going to behave on track.
Yeah.
And then the key thing for starter is you definitely don't want to send someone too quickly or too slowly, right? You want to send somebody as quick as possible, but not too quick that it causes reruns and confusion. Right. So that's, that's a lot of technical stuff, and then it's a little bit of an art. So
it is. It's all, I'll tell you right now, it's an art. It's not just how fast the person is, right?
Yeah.
Because there are people, I'll use myself as an example. Sometimes I can have a fast run, but if I hit a cone, it negates that speed. So the car behind me, if you send someone because they're not going to catch me, they might catch that poor guy putting up a cone, right?
Yep.
So like it's an art, as you said. It's it's not an exact science.
Yeah. Not only you have to calculate the increment of the time between the cars, you also have to kind of look around, because if somebody hits a cone like right then and there, right?
Oh yeah.
And then no problem, because that's early. But if if there's a key cone that's going to get hit later, and then it takes a while for somebody to go get it, and then you send them a little too early, now you're getting a rerun. So a good starter can probably launch a car, depending on the course, somewhere between 20 to 25 seconds, right? Mm-hmm. And then if you make a mistake, all of a sudden you're adding like a minute to it, right?
Right. Exactly.
So if you have a good starter that can send people at 22-second increment versus a bad starter making 5 mistakes plus sending everybody at 30 seconds.
That's another 15 minutes, Danny.
The difference is a 45-minute heat to an hour and 30-minute heat.
Exactly. And that's devastating when it's hot out, when it's raining, when it's cold.
Yeah. Yep. So starter, important job, because if they don't do the job right, everybody stands there. Everybody waits. The day gets longer, not a good thing. All right. So hopefully novice don't have to worry about that. But if you love autocrossing, you should aspire to become a starter, because by the time you take over as a starter job, that means that the head of the organization thinks that you know what you're doing.
If you ever get asked to be a starter, it means you've made it. Congratulations. That's the goal. That's my new goal, actually.
That's right. Yeah. Because that means that they trust you to control the tempo of the entire event, which is a big responsibility.
Yeah. All right, Danny, can we talk about my favorite job, and the job that every single novice person that's listening to this will get?
Yeah. Sure. Go ahead.
Okay. Course worker. Yeah. I know this is what they talk about, and I'm going to have to run after cones. It's not like that.
That's the easiest job.
It's the best.
It's the best job too. You see all the action, You
learn the most. You're watching these cars, you're watching these superstars out there as a novice, as an intermediate, even as an advanced driver. You're out there learning. You're watching the cars. Sure, you might go get a couple cones, but guess what? You're out of shape. It's going to help you. You're going to feel good at the end, right? Burn a couple calories, quit crying, right? It's the best job. And if you're at a corner that has another person there, guess what? While you're watching these cars, while you're learning, while you're paying attention to the course, you're allowed to talk to them. Did you know that? You're allowed to talk to, and you make those friendships. You learn things because my favorite corner worker ever, course worker story ever, was I was standing next to this guy and we were talking about cars while watching all the other cars. And I told him that I love Evos, and he was telling me that he thinks that they're pretty cool too. And I was asking him about, like, and he started quizzing me a little bit. And I was like, I don't know why I'm getting quizzed right now by this guy. And I was telling him I used to follow this one guy, S. Glazer, in the import tuner, and the Nopi results would come up, and I used to watch him because he had a little Maryland flag next to his name, and he was from here. I've never met him or anything, but it was just so cool to watch this guy and cheer him on. And he used to race Evos back in the day. And after, like, 45 minutes of working the course, he's like, yeah, I'm Sean. And that's how I met him.
Mhm.
That's how I met. I didn't even
Right.
know that I'm standing next to this guy that I used to cheer for when I was in high school, reading the back of the import tuners. Like, how cool is that, man?
That's pretty awesome.
That's
Yeah.
the corner work life. Like, it's the course work life. I love it.
And then, like for me, the only thing I remember about working course, I mean, I worked course plenty of times, right? But all I can remember is when I first started, I was working the course with this really nice, pretty woman right next to me. And I kept on thinking that, hey, should I talk to him? Because that person might think I'm creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that turned out to be Larry Kramer.
It was Lyric Kramer. I love it.
Yeah. So of course, well, for people who don't know, like 3 years later, Larry Kramer was in a Baltimore Grand Prix, driving a Formula car, right? So
That's awesome.
yeah, and then she did like monster trucks and all of that stuff. So you never know who you're gonna meet right next to you.
That's
right?
so cool.
During course, as a course worker, sometimes you meet a no guy like me, and then just bad, just ignore me. But working the course is good. You'd have to pay attention, make sure you don't get hit by a car, right?
Watch the cones.
That's right. And then I don't want to make it sound like that, but a diligent course worker creates a humongous good impression among the people who are experienced.
It's true. That's 100% true.
100%. So what happens is if you pay attention, doing your course walk, and listen and then observe, right?
Mm-hmm.
Other people, maybe other novices won't see you, but everybody else who's been there working for a long time, they will see you.
We will.
Yeah. and then believe it or not, I mean, if we ever see you, struggle in a certain section in the race that you want to pick up a few seconds, people will come up and say, hey, want to try it this way. Yep. Right. Yeah. Because they know that, everybody wants to see somebody who's putting some efforts to these type of things. So that's course working. Right. And then, for some organization, they have finish.
Some have finish. Yeah.
Yeah. Some finish. So, namely the push-out events, they usually have a stop box, and then the finish basically, they usually go back and forth by removing the cone that's blocking you and allow you to come through. Right. Mm-hmm. So that would be like a gatekeeper.
Yeah. In essence, it's a gatekeeper. Yeah. Finish.
Yeah. Right. So the gatekeeper does that for the finish. And then other than that, there's several other jobs that most likely the novice won't be able to do unless, you could be a timing writer, which is not a hard job, right? Mm-hmm. So basically you write down the cars that went out, and when they come back, you write their time down by it's the timing is done by computer, but they also do manual timing so that there's a backup in case the computer goes down. So timing writer is a backup, a timing system, essentially. And then you have people that actually runs the computers, but most likely those are the people that actually
run the events.
Those are the rulers of the organization that handles timing, right? Mm-hmm. And they have safety, mm-hmm. right? A lot, SCCA safety requires some sort of a training and certification before you can become a safety. So if you're interested to become a safety person, you want to talk to the event organizers, and then they will hook you up to, safety training courses, and then they validate you, and then you have to work for like 2 or 3 events of safety before you become a full-fledged safety, mm-hmm. right? Other organizations, I am not 100% sure, but I'm sure it's it's probably something similar to that.
You should just go up to the people running it and ask them if you can help volunteer to learn how to do a specific role. For example, safety in this case.
So I came from an environment where everybody sees the safety job as like, oh my God, that's the cushiest job. You just kind of sit there and standing around, right? No, don't. Safety is a very difficult job. Yeah. They're the ones that if they see something wrong, they got to go, resolve it, right? Yeah. If there's an incident or something, they have to file a report and have to explain and do all that stuff. Safety is I don't know if you want to aspire to be safety.
I think it's one of the hardest jobs.
Yeah, most responsibility. Yes,
and it's the only job, Danny, that I don't think I really want at an event. It's too much pressure for me because I'm there to have fun, and that's a hard job. It's not easy.
Safety is quite a bit. Yeah. And the last job is
the best job.
The best job that Ada likes, which is announce.
Yes, announce. I love being the announcer. It's so much fun. Danny has taught me so many tips and tricks over the years of how to be an announcer, and I just love it. And one time they made the mistake of putting us together, and I still dream about that one event where we were announcing together. It was so much fun. It's so much. You read the times of the people coming in, you make announcements, you have a great time, and you get the people going, you get the blood pumping. And
the advantage of it is it's almost like a real announce in a sporting event. So you have a play-by-play, you have a color commentator.
Yes, we need to do it again.
Yeah. Well, one of these days, I'm sure.
We got to trick them into giving us double announce again.
That's right. Yeah, no, that's definitely a lot of fun.
So you know why they gave it? Because you were injured. That's why they gave it to us.
Yeah, I mean, my foot was probably the size of a tree. So
you had like a big old thing on and crutches, and it was the whole thing. And so I was like, I just pulled up a chair for you, I think.
Yeah,
I didn't know if it was your actual job. You probably
no, I don't know.
Job.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I mean, it's kind of strange that when you approach 60, sometimes they will say, you're too old. Let me give you something else.
Yeah. Boo, get out of here.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad. Anyway, I'm still doing it, so it's kind of good.
60 is the new 30.
That's right. No, I don't think so. I think 60 is 60. Feels that way.
You're not retired.
Yeah. Soon. No, I'm just kidding. All right. And then we enough about the workers, but essentially, it is important, to know your job and do your job well. It is part of the game. And the more you understand how to work, believe it or not, the better you will be how to go fast, because this is a whole entire package here.
Agreed.
Yeah. All right. So then again, okay, and thank you for joining us for this novice meeting. Sorry, it ran a little bit long. In our next podcast episode, it's time to get on the course and finally race, right? We talk about for 7 episodes, and now it's time to race. Okay, now we will talk about what to expect at the race, so don't miss it.
All right.
And that wraps our 7th episode of the DMV Autocross Podcast. Thanks for spending the last hour with us, because I talked too long. And we again hope you find it fun and informative.
Don't forget to join us for the next episode. Until then, keep those tires on the track and the wing in the back.
The wing in the back. All right. So as promised,
the Tyson.
I'm going to sign off by saying that Jake Paul knocked out Mike Tyson in 5 rounds.
No. Tyson takes him.
Tyson's my age.
Tyson hits him twice. Okay. You're still setting FTDs.
Well, no. So I'm telling you, this is the equivalence of me fighting against Cody Hunt.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I totally disagree. Cody's great. This is nothing against Cody, but Tyson's gonna knock Jake Paul into.
I'm not gonna knock out Cody.
I know, but your example of you and Cody is not Tyson and Jake Paul.
Well, I'm like Mike Tyson. No, hold on.
Oh, Mike. Oh, we have spiraled. No, what's going to happen is he's going to get a couple good hits on Jake Paul.
I need to give myself a tattoo.
You're not getting it. Oh, okay. Oh, wow. That's
except that my tattoo won't be Mao, though. It'll be like Chiang Kai-shek or something.
Oh, my God. Lord.
That's terrible.
All right. We better sign off on this. But my prediction, Jake Paul knocked out Mike Tyson 5 rounds.
Tyson wins. Easy money.
Okay, great. Awesome. We'll find out soon.
See you, Danny.
All right. Bye.
Bye. All right. So we've heard some of the feedback, and it seems like all 8 viewers and listeners seem to be having fun listening to the podcast. And
I heard 5 viewers this
you
weekend.
heard 5. I keep listening to it over and over and over, and I count myself every time.
Oh,
so
so
it's
you 5 real ones and 3 fake ones.
5 real. Yes, correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
So
I mean, I'm not fake. I'm a real person.
hey, you know,
I just-
this is not kidding. Every day since I'm a moderator for the Facebook group,
Yeah.
I think we get somewhere around 10, 15 new people try to enter the group,
Wow.
right?
Yeah.
But for some reason, our number stays the same, so I don't know what's going on.
Well, it takes time. Things like this take time. But I already know that who was it? Brandon was at the time trial, and he was saying that he enjoys it. And I know a bunch of people came up to you this past weekend, and so the whole point is we want to provide a service, right? Danny's providing a huge service. I'm trying to help him in any way I can to provide that service and bringing this whole DMV community together. However, people keep coming to me and they keep asking me. They're like, "Hey, we need to ask Uncle Danny," and that's why we're going to make this new segment. It's going to be called Ask Uncle Danny. You're feel free to post up in the DMV Autocross group, make a post and say, "Hey, I would like to ask Uncle Danny," and ask away. And we're not going to answer every question. That's just not how this works. It's Uncle Danny. He's got a lot of things to do. You don't have time for all your questions, but some of them will be selected. And we might go through your question, and it might be on the podcast, and we might ask Uncle Danny. I would like to start, and I'm going to give myself the honor of asking Uncle Danny the first
Before
question.
you do that, Ada,
Sure.
do I have to answer questions from bots?
Absolutely. Those are my favorite questions. Like they might ask you your social security number, credit card info, all that stuff, Danny. And you're going to have to answer it. That's the whole point of this segment, right?
I mean, I can answer. I know all the car numbers. The only thing I don't know is my Taiwanese, my Taiwanese residence
Your
ID
residency number.
I
Yeah.
have no idea what that is.
You say you know all the car numbers. Can you tell me Dean Mohit's car number?
Yes,
because I don't
it's
think he can tell you.
48.
That's never going to get old, by the way.
I know.
He put his numbers on backwards once, guys.
Exactly.
They kept seeing car 84 coming across the line.
I know. And then I saw Dean this weekend after he saw Marcus Pine run and ran the fastest time. He switched his number to 92.
No, he did not. He did not. Dean, he's, oh my goodness. I can't with him. He needs to go straight to jail.
Yeah, that's right. Straight to jail.
That's so good.
Yeah.
So, this is supposed to be fun, fairly lighthearted, but I'm going to ask you a real question.
Okay.
This is serious. Okay. Australia.
Yeah.
Melbourne.
Yes.
Everything's upside down there.
Yes.
Right. Kangaroo.
Well, actually,
koala.
sideways.
Sideways.
Yes.
Yeah. It's like
it's
very
sideways.
Confusing. Very confusing.
And then red flag.
So many red flags. Last year it was 3 red flags.
Yes.
In one race.
There's very few red flags in autocross, by the way. But I do have to say, before you ask me the question, at the Mercedes Autocross, we had 6 runs each. We ran in first heat because I did not switch my number to A-Mod, right? So I'm not like cheaters like Pine and Palak that ran at the end, the very last run. Like they beat us by like 8 seconds. Right?
Did you say Palak? From now on, I'm gonna call him Palak.
Yeah, Palak.
Yeah, Palak. Okay, yeah, got it.
Anyway, Greg might be pissed, but it's okay because he beat me by 8 seconds. 8 seconds.
Well, that's because he was cheating, and he's in an A-mod in the sunshine, and the clouds were clear. Right.
So, but one thing I did notice, I love the workers out there, right? Because when we ran, it was pouring rain. So, shout out to all of you guys out there.
Shout out.
Every time I spin, you don't have to wave the red flag before I stop spinning. I'm spinning, I'm like looping around 360, and then the people are already like waving red flag in front of my face.
Well, maybe have you considered stop spinning so much?
I can't. Yeah, but then I turned around and kept going, and then of course there's no more red flag, right? I mean, it shouldn't be a red flag there. But don't throw the red flag while in the middle of my spin because I might be just doing that for shows.
You're spinning worse than Russell.
That's right. Oh my God! At least I wasn't upside down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Sorry.
That's so good. No, that was great. So yeah, Palak, I guess he beat you by 8 seconds, and he didn't spin.
No, but he hit every cone at my worker station.
He probably did it on purpose.
So I work with Dustin, my station. And then
Nice.
I made a mistake. And Dustin came to me and says, "Hey man, I'll do the run because you're so old." And I go,
Oh.
"Nah, that's okay. I'll do the running. I don't feel like talking on the radio." And then I end up running the whole entire time.
Why would you say that?
And
Danny?
then my Samsung watch came back and say, "Okay, you met your exercise for the for the week or something like that."
For the week,
Yeah, so I
it's
was like hobbling, and then
Oh
the
my
timing the timing system come back and say, "Tell Danny to stop drinking, eating chips while walking
Oh
to give
my
cones."
oh my god, chips! What kind
It's
of chips?
hilarious. But Palik and Palik. So
Palik. He's Palik
yeah,
from now on.
so
Yeah.
so Greg and Pine,
Yeah.
they hit every cone. This particular cone every run. So it's so bad at the point where as soon as they started taking off from the line, I started running toward that cone and try to pick up the cone.
Okay, that's
And
hilarious.
then they hit it.
You just got to watch out for flying cones.
Yeah, it's not even nobody else hits that cone.
Oh my god,
It's
I
really
love it.
funny. It's on the driver's side
stupid.
too. I don't know what the heck is going on.
They're hitting on the driver's side too.
Yes. And it's a
Maybe they're
straight.
just messing with. Maybe they're just messing with you.
It
They're
must
like
be.
probably like,
It-
hey, whoever hits more cones at Danny's station,
Yeah.
the other one gets to buy
Yeah,
lunch.
it must be some kind of competition saying that, hey, since we're beating them by 8.5 seconds, we can hit 4
Let's just
cones
hit
at the
cones.
station and we'll still beat them.
And just still beat them by half a second every time.
That's right.
Every time.
It's ridiculous.
Oh man,
Yeah.
that's awesome. All right, so Danny,
I'll be serious.
this is very serious. This is Ask Uncle Danny.
Yeah.
Okay, the time for laughing and smiles is over. Straight face, straight questions that need straight answers. 20-second penalty for Fernando Alonso. This is my understanding of it. Please correct me. For braking 100 feet before he had previously been braking, disrupting the flow of air, unloading Russell's car, and sending Russell into the wall, etc. This is what I'm going to ask you. Was that penalty deserved? Is it too harsh? Is it too lenient? What is Alonso doing? Can you just please tell me what's going on with this situation?
Okay, well, so the best way that I can think of is Fernando Alonso was Sam Strano. Yeah. And
Okay.
then for that one particular lap, he turns into Danny Kael.
Oh my god! And he brakes too early. Okay, so he's braking early, but it's not an accident though, Dan.
Well-
it doesn't. There's no way this calculated man, is braking accidentally early.
Well, I mean, the thing is, we're not Formula One drivers, right? I mean, they
No,
all have
we're
like
not.
cat-like reflexes, right?
We think we're Formula One drivers.
No,
but
none of us are. Come on, man. Let's not
we're just
kid yourself.
autocrossers.
But I think the bottom line is if you look at the telemetry, when you go into a fast section, I mean, like any autocross, you have options to bomb into the corners and deal with whatever consequences at the end, or
Sure.
you can sit yourself up and then brake early, get on the throttle early, right? But I think that the key thing is they can't lie. They have the telemetry. They know how fast how slow they brake. Brake test, that's not considered a brake test. If it's not considered a brake test, I don't think there should be any penalty. Right? Because if it's a brake test, then Alonso should be banned. Right? Because that's a serious penalty.
That's a bit points
Right,
associated
because you're
with
trying to
it
kill
for the
somebody when you do
license.
that, right?
Sure,
but in this
sure,
particular
sure.
case, if you just make some adjustments, I know it's the last lap. Now, I mean, who knows, right? I mean, the thing is I plus, especially when you think about the dynamics, right? Fernando Alonso is probably looking for another ride with either Red Bull or Mercedes Benz. Why would he want to kill a Mercedes Benz driver? I mean, he needs to get onto the good side instead of the bad side.
Is he thinking about that in the heat of battle?
Of course not. But what I'm saying is I think that someone like Fernando Alonso should have enough integrity not to try to kill their, competitors, right? I mean, he's been there 20 some years.
Do you really think he was trying to kill him, or do you think he was trying to break any flow that Russell was getting leading? Because those boom, boom, 1-2, you'll get that big run,
Right.
get him on the straight. Do you think he was just trying to ruin Russell's flow, but way too aggressively? Because I don't think he's malicious enough to try to kill someone.
I don't know. I think at that time, I mean, he has the other options,
Sure.
right? I mean, he
Sure.
has other options. I mean, especially if it's a situation where he's getting into like like the Australian tracks are not the widest,
No,
right?
right.
So all he has to do is just move a little bit on the exit and all that stuff. It's going to be extremely difficult for people to pass anyway. Just do a line change.
It will be, but Russell was coming.
Yeah.
He had been setting up that for the couple laps
Right.
in a row. I think Russell knew it was time, and I think Alonso knew that Russell knew it was time.
Yeah. But Russell also has to understand that, if when he makes moves like that and you can bonsai on everybody's back and, that just didn't work. Right.
I think that I have a little bit of a take on it. And that's like, come on, Russell. I understand you got like the aero load was like unloaded and he just literally flew. Like, whoop. But I almost want to be like, shouldn't you see that coming a little bit?
That's not his first time either.
It's not his first time.
Yep.
And this old wily veteran, this Sly Fox is going to do something. I don't know what he's going to do, when he's going to do it, but it's coming. And it's like, I don't know. Maybe it's just easy to watch from home, like on my couch, easy to watch on the TV. But I'm like, come on, Russell. Like you should have, Alonso's never going to let you just take the place.
Yeah.
Ever.
No.
I don't know. It's just
no.
Like.
Well, I mean, I don't think he's going to do what Stroll did to him. But no. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think if you sign up for that job and then you go on and do that, you should know what the consequences are. Passing on the very last lap is not a given, right?
It's not.
And then the drivers in the front can do certain things, but honestly, from my perspective, if you look at the telemetry or all that information, they cannot prove that Alonso actually did a brake test. It was simply changing the corner entry and corner exit strategy.
Yeah.
They're F1 drivers. Sometimes we gave them a lot more credit. Like they can do exactly how they're supposed to execute. Right.
We don't give them a lot more credit.
But you never know. I mean, maybe Alonso comes back and say, well, I missed downshift at one time and then, did it early or something like that. Right. I mean, I think that those are the kind of explanations.
Right. So why the 20 seconds? It almost makes, to me, the 20 seconds doesn't make sense because either you come down with the hammer and you make an example of him, or you say, hey, racing's racing. Robin's racing.
I think the bottom line is I think this is the bottom line. The bottom line is they, even if they want to say no, there's probably other pressures to push them to make sure that people don't do that kind of stuff again, if it's intentional. Right. And then, and then making that switch, the only person that hurts other than Fernando Alonso on his total points, maybe could yield to some kind of a differences at the end of year podium position is me, because I picked Fernando Alonso in my fantasy league.
Here we go.
And I had the double points on him.
You got the double points on.
So at this rate, once the positions was swapped, Russell was not going to be in there anyway. So I think so with the swapping means that Stroll got in front of Alonso, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And is that the only change?
I believe
so.
Yeah, I can double check.
Aston Martin doesn't care. The boss's boy got everything. So everybody's happy except me.
except you. Okay.
That's
right
this
here.
episode's Uncle Danny.
Wait a minute. I don't know if even with the time added, I don't know if Stroll actually.
20 seconds that flipped the Stroll and Alonso position. At least that's what I thought.
Yeah, so it looks like he finished 13 seconds behind him. So yeah, that's gonna flip him.
Yeah.
Oh wait, Tsunoda.
Did it flip Tsunoda too?
I think it flipped Tsunoda as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Oh well, that's too bad. What they need to do is they need to flip Magnussen and Hülkenberg, because I have those two in my fantasy league too.
They both scored points though. Both Haas's in the points.
I honestly have to say this. After 18 years of autocrossing, I have becoming totally selfish. I no longer play team sports.
Oh my god!
It's whatever my team goes is the one that wins.
I can confirm Lance and Yuki both jumped Fernando.
I had Yuki, but he had too many points. I can't
And
afford them.
Hulkenberg was only less than 4 seconds off of Fernando after.
But
the
it doesn't
penalty.
matter because I threw my double bonus chip on Fernando. So now I
No.
just lost my golden opportunity. Except
Lost
that for
everything.
all the rest of you suckers that put your double points on Max Verstappen. Sorry. Bye-bye.
Max who? Max brakes? You don't have brakes in the rear.
I'll tell you. No, that's... You know,
When
I saw the Mike Snyder, little Mike Snyder post something on Facebook and say, save from listen to the Dutch national anthem.
Oh my god, hilarious! Absolutely. So when I saw he was fine, nothing dangerous. He got out and brakes were on fire or whatever. Part of me thought they were going to take that wheel and tire off, fix the brake real quick, and send him back out.
And they win the whole thing.
And then, but I was excited because then at that point, I thought to myself, we're finally going to see what this Red Bull can do. It's been 2 years, and I still don't think they've fully uncorked it. I think that monster, it was messed up in Singapore where Sainz won last year.
Mm-hmm.
Besides that Red Bull won every race, and I still think it had a little bit more, a lot more, really.
But I would say that if you set the car on fire, they still win.
I
think everybody will quit.
If the drum didn't explode out, and I think if there was something in there they could have quickly repaired, I think he would have still won the race.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, you saw some of the footage when he was coming through the explosion. When they come into the pits and then the explosion took place. Yeah. So
if it didn't explode, I bet you he still would have won.
Yeah. I mean, but I would say though, kind of to sum up, this is a very serious Ask Uncle Danny question.
Yeah,
I was expecting something
serious.
like, hey, is Mike Tyson going to be the, Paul or, whatever. I mean, those are the answers that I can provide. That's a little bit more insightful.
I'm thinking about the next Ask Uncle Danny. So there's no rules, right? We can ask you, so people can ask you relationship advice.
Sure.
Hey,
I don't know why I'm asked.
My girlfriend wants me to take her to New York. Should I take her there or should I take her to Boston? These kind of questions, I'm sure.
I can answer that.
You know both those cities.
I can answer
I know
that.
you can.
Because as long as you don't take both of my daughters, who's one in New York and the other one's in Boston, I don't care what you're doing.
No one's talking about your daughters.
Don't take my daughter over there. They're already there.
That's not what.
I know. No. It's not Ask Uncle Danny if you can have my daughter.
Cut this out.
Nah.
This out.
No, and you think that I'm a tough guy. My daughters will kick your ass.
I know they will, and no one thinks you're a tough guy.
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah, I my ass is getting kicked by my kids. So.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
This might be my new favorite segment.
Yeah, they don't respect the elders at all.
But you're not even that old, Danny. I like the novice meeting.
Mm-hmm.
I always like that a lot. But this might be my new favorite segment.
Oh no.
Ask Uncle Danny.
Oh no.
They could ask you like job advice too. You've been around. Had a bunch of
Yeah, I mean, I'm an expert at losing my job, so you could tell me.
You could flip it and be like, I'm an expert at getting jobs.
Really?
Yeah.
Let me think about it.
You're losing jobs.
I mean,
jobs.
This is in all seriousness. I don't think I've looked for a job I think the last time I looked for a job was 1994.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
No,
That's awesome.
and I didn't have the same job since 94 neither.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah.
I know.
It's weird. It just somehow just happens. And then somebody always come to me and say, hey, Danny, do you want this job? And I was like, yeah, I think it's time to switch jobs. And then it just went to another one.
Oh my goodness. I love it.
But it's not, but that doesn't necessarily mean that every job is a good job.
No, but there's processes behind what you're thinking. You know?
But most jobs are crappy actually, but some I get stuck with all of them. So,
oh my God, I can't.
I'm looking for no job. I'm serious. Yeah.
Is there a job where I don't have to do anything?
I know auto podcasting is definitely not one of those. I mean, that's a lot of work.
Yeah, I'm sweating right now. I normally sweat a little bit during the podcast.
And I'm abusing what do you call it? The child labor.
What child labor? The kids?
It'd be you. Well, wait a minute.
Me? I'm
on a
Danny.
Wait, hold on.
I'm not a child.
So on the screen, do I go? I mean, I think every time I point this way, I think you're actually this way.
You're to my this way. So I'm pointing to you right now.
So do you think I'm pointing to you like right now?
On my screen, it looks like you're pointing to me.
I
and it looks
think
like I'm pointing to you.
I think in the what do you call it? In the I think in the actual screen is actually the other way around.
So you think it's this way?
Yeah.
Like we're
But
pointing.
but you know what I can do is when I edit, I'll just swap the windows. I could do that. I'm not that
Uncle
dumb.
Danny. Ask Uncle Danny, the best segment ever.
That's right. Oh, by the way, I will have a special guest that shows us everything there is to do about building fantastic videos for race and telemetries and stuff.
Ooh.
And I talked to him.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And I talked to him this weekend, and he's going to come on. So that will be a 5-hour show.
Are you allowed to tell me like who this is?
Yeah.
Like, can we get a sneak preview?
No, I mean it's Daniel McFarland.
Okay, so we're gonna get a legitimate. This is how you can build. Like he's gonna show us how to like overlay, and
He's gonna show us his secret on how to build a video that starts off exactly like the F1 banner.
His videos are the best videos on YouTube.
It's
period.
It's the most incredible racing video for autocross ever.
What else does he use? I know he must be using like
So
all sorts of software.
So no, he only uses 2, believe it or not.
No way.
Because
no way.
I think he codes a lot of other stuff or build templates for it. You know, so he does a lot of things in race render. But the data that he used to build his information is from Race Chrono out of all the things. So your upfront cost is really, really low because Race Chrono is not expensive.
Right. It's just like a phone, right?
And Race Render is not expensive. Right.
Okay.
So these two things are inexpensive. You know, like he tried to use SoloStorm or some other, you know, apps and stuff like that, but SoloStorm just doesn't give him the same data that he can build.
Okay.
I mean, in future episodes we're going to show, you will see that his video it gives you lap time that each runs. Yeah. It has lap time comparison. It has segment time, just like F1. You know,
that's awesome.
It's what gear he's in, and then the gauge that he has is your car's real gauge. It's
awesome.
insane.
Yeah.
Right.
No, that's what I'm saying.
So we're going to ask him all about it. And if it's going to take 5 hours, I'm going to steal all of that because I know I can sell them for money.
You're not going to sell anything. Yeah. You're going to make a YouTube video and put on Spotify.
No. Immediately, we're going to start changing this whole podcast into members only.
Like
because of Daniel McFarland.
Oh my God. I can't.
All right. No, but anyway, but that's awesome. That's something in the future. I don't know why we're yapping all that stuff, but that's all.
This is Ask Uncle Danny.
This is anything goes.
This is perfect. Hassle.
All right. Okay. We'll see.
I love it.
We'll see. Okay. So
as long as you cut out that one part that I was being weird, I don't remember what that was.
That's all the parts.
Yeah. Well.
All right. Okay. So I guess so. This ends the Ask Uncle Danny segment.
Yeah. Yep.
Which is at the end of the episode, which already told the novice to go home.
So like there's no one
nobody's going to listen to this anyway. So
okay, cool. Yeah. All right, keep your tires on the back.
That's right.
Some metal wing in the track. Tires in the on the track.
Yeah.
And the wing in the back.
I know.
So we've already done that.
We already did that too.
So
this would nobody would see this.
This is like a Marvel movie. Like this is like a Marvel cinematic universe, like post credit scene. Like it's not even the mid credit scene. This is like way after everyone's left.
Oh, that's the one that like if I can be Ken, you can be Barbie kind of a thing. Like that's the real Barbie looks like.
I don't know what that means at all.
I don't know. I was forced to go watch the Barbie by my wife, but I ended up really enjoying it.
I mean, I saw it. I loved it. I thought it was great.
It was a good movie. Oh boy. Okay, so no more ask Uncle Danny for this episode, and then we'll start at the next one. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and ask.
Post them up in that DMV Autocross Facebook.
If you ask me for food advice, I can definitely offer good information. Especially where's the place to eat at every one of the venues.
So it's funny you say that. You took me to the best Chinese food restaurant I've ever been to in my life, and it was in Pennsylvania of all places.
Oh yeah, that's on the way.
You remember that? Yeah. I don't know if you remember that. We were coming home from Pocono, and you were like, "Hey, I know this place," and we were like, "Okay, yeah, we go there." It was like
it's called Sankey Bistro.
It's so good.
Yeah, it's really really good. It's on the suburb of Philadelphia.
Oh God.
My daughter's in-laws, which my in-laws, I guess, They took us
They're your
there.
in-laws.
I really love the place because every time I go there, if they're there, I never have to pay. They always pay for it. But the food's delicious.
That was so good. It was experience. It was like
Yes.
a true, we have Chinese food here, obviously, that, and it's not necessarily authentic,
Yes.
right? It's Chinese food for non-Chinese people.
Yeah.
But this place was Chinese food for angels. It was
it's really
amazing.
good. It's really good.
It was just
it's really
incredible.
good. It's very good.
The flavors were different. Everything was so fresh.
Yeah.
It was, maybe that's what we need to do. Ask Uncle Danny where to eat. Maybe
we
just change.
We have never saw Patrick Gaffney ate that much. And I was like, man, dude, you can't eat that much. You're up in the age now. What the heck?
Oh my! Leave Patrick alone.
I know.
We've been roasting Patrick.
And then right after that, like, after Patrick told Norm about where we went, and Norm was like, "Oh, you should have told me." I mean, I already told you to go, right? He says, "Oh no, I'm going next time. I'm going next time."
Danny, can I tell you what Norm did for me?
Yeah. What did he do?
Him and his daughter Molly.
Yeah.
They got me and the girls tickets to the National Aquarium.
No way.
It was the best. They had so much fun.
Wow.
The girls just absolutely. I mean, I loved it.
Yeah.
I still love going to the aquarium. Like, it was just it was like the best.
That's awesome.
It was so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
My oldest loves like sharks, and the other two love fish too. And we were just
Okay. So that means that we're not going to harass Norm for a while, but we're not going to stop Patrick unless he takes me out to the National Aquarium.
No, I think we can keep harassing all of them.
Okay.
Like, I think that's it's whatever. It's just keep harassing them.
All right. Okay. That sounds good. That sounds like a good deal. All right. So no more. Don't worry about wings in the back, and we just wrap up this bonus feature. And if you have any questions, you can ask Ada, and Ada will tell me what to say.
Ooh, I can screen the Ask Uncle Danny, and I'm like, if that's a bad question, we're just gonna.
Yeah. Don't ask me about like which daughter of mine are you going to take in Boston or.
Again, no one brought that up, Danny.
I know.
No,
You're gonna get your ass kicked.
no one brought that. No one that didn't happen.
But you're gonna ask me where's the good place to eat. I would tell you that there used to be a place over there in Rockville, off Shady Grove Road. That Chinese place wasn't really that good. I mean, I never really liked it. It's been there like 10, 15 years.
I thought it was pretty good.
I know this place that I'm going to tell you about. So all of a sudden we got a flyer and say that they started serving dim sums, right, during all business hours. So we went there and gave it a try. This place is called Taipei Tokyo Cafe.
Okay.
Falls Grove.
I don't know that place.
Right, it's in Falls Grove and Rockville. So we went in there just out of curiosity. It's like, how good can a, serving all hour long, dim sum was. And we ordered some of the basic stuff, and my wife loved it.
That's amazing.
Right? If my wife loves it, I have to love it. So it was excellent. So I recommend that if you want dim sum.
So you said Taipei and Tokyo?
It's called Taipei Tokyo Cafe.
Taipei Tokyo. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So next time you're here, Ada, you know where we're going. Not Lido's Pizza.
No, we're not going to Lido's. So I was told by my boss I need to start coming to work 3 days a week.
Oh, hey, well then we go to lunch.
And my work is like right next to your house.
Yeah.
So
that's where kind of where it is.
I asked him too. He's like, you need to start coming in 3 days a week. I was like, are you sure?
Yeah. No, I'm
he
serious.
was like, I'm sure.
Yeah, just set some lunch hours. We'll go to lunch.
Oh my God, I love it.
So the only thing is, I mean, I'm not going to recommend Lido's because every time when Ryan Davies, who was an ex-autocrosser,
He's called an ex-auto. He's still an autocross.
He doesn't autocross anymore because I took him to Lido's a couple of times. He says I refuse to autocross no more.
That's it.
Just to get away from you.
Oh my goodness! All right, in that case, take Brian to Lido's.
Yeah, I'll take Ryan's to Lido's. So we never have to see him again. No, I'm just kidding.
Easy. Oh, let's make a line.
Yeah. No, we took Ryan to some Korean place. I think he's back. So
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Okie dokie. So this wraps up the bonus episode. So that pushes the show all the way up to like 2 hours.
Hey, whatever.
Some people like it and some people don't. But sorry.
If they don't like it, they'll turn it off. If they do like it, they'll probably still turn it off. It's so long.
It's like, man, that's way too much. All right. Okay, that's enough jabbling. So we'll see you in the next episode. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Bye.